Welcome everyone, we are live again for 16th time. I've decided I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to do a breakdown of my new track BLOODBEARER. Super excited for you guys to listen to this one. This is new direction for me. It'll probably be shorter. I'm still not feeling 100%. I've still got a chest infection or something going on, so just a shorter stream today. It will be going up on YouTube afterwards. I'll be taking you through the project, like how I started it, so I'll be showing you the riff that I played, the idea that came after that was really just ready to throw in the bin, and then it was just inspiration at about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, like a week after I recorded that riff. I thought, fuck it, I'll go back to the project, and just totally sliced up the riff and just went from there. So, part number 1 was recording the riff. I'll show you guys how the riff went. It was fairly simple, all on one string. There we go, beautiful. Just a little tiny, like this is my guitar amp at the moment, power through a pod over there, so it's not the greatest thing. And I always record direct out anyway at the pod and do a whole load of cab sims and shit. But so I'm tuned to standard with a dropped A on the 7 string at the moment. This is a Jackson Michelin Saw Evertune 7 string model. Absolutely love it. It's awesome. So just tuned to A, so it's dropped, so I can do some hefty power chords and like. But all I was doing was jamming the riff. I'm a fan of just moving up into the octave, so it was just kind of getting that flow, and then standard, like, you know, kind of like semitone and then up to the 4, which is kind of like quite a kind of, you know, metally thing, like a. So the whole riff is literally just chugging away on that rhythm. Get it down there for some hand action. And just looping that riff over and over again. I don't think I recorded that session where I came up with the riff, but yeah, just jamming away, like I said, not too difficult. It was literally just that on a loop. So I did a couple of takes of that, put a really simple drum beat behind it, and that's where I got to, really. So just jamming away on. And I recorded that a couple of tempos and found that 120 was probably best for it. Like, I didn't want it to be stuck in the usual kind of like half beat kick snare rubbish that I often kind of like just fart around with. So yeah, jam that out, and that's all the guitar you're getting tonight. I'll switch over to the other view and hang this thing back up on the wall. So if you've got any questions, or anybody in the chat or like YouTube afterwards, just post them away. I'll try to answer them where I can. Cool. Back up here. Right, so recorded idea. I just came up, I stuck on an arpeggio, like found the first synth that I could that sounded alright. Like, I wanted to have a sort of cyberpunky vibe to this one. So just program that MIDI out. Some cinematic drums, which is basically just damage, I think, I use for those drums. So literally just stacked MIDI, like nothing programmed in there much, really. that's a reversed guitar tail of me just hitting a note, so I just reverse that note so it kind of like sweeps up. And like that sounds okay, but I didn't really know what to do with it. And mainly this is just me testing out the Gin bass that I got recently, like the plugin. That's why the riff is so simple, really, so I didn't need to figure out like how to program in a bunch of notes and like all the timing and stuff. And that's when I move over to here. So this is the whole project. It looks very messy. You guys probably know my color coding by now, but green is drums. Well, that bit is as well. Yep, that bit's drums as well. Purple in this case is kind of like the MIDI and stuff, like all of the melody stuff, so that'll be all the arpeggiated bits, because I kind of like play on that like melody a lot with loads of arpeggiated notes and stuff, so that's all going up and down the octave, so I'll break that down in a sec. The lighter purple is all atmosphere stuff, so that's all just drones and kind of like whoop stuff. All the yellow stuff is my independent sub channel, so that's actually just like underneath all the crazy heavy stuff. All the crazy heavy stuff is in red, so it'll kind of like all my bass sounds and all the mid sounds and all that stuff. Brown is guitar, and some is this stuff over here as well. All the purple, well, blue stuff down here is like all my samples and stuff, so that's all the kind of like risers from sample packs and Foley and stuff like that. I use some Foley for other elements in this, like I'll show you the breakdown of a snare in a sec. And yeah, that's the whole project, so I'll show you what I did with... I'll start soloing some of these elements as well. So I'll probably take that loop off. I didn't even do the change up to the octave, that's literally just the semitone up. But you can see the rhythm is there, what I played on guitar. So to break that down without the arpeggio, that's just I don't often make all the kind of like melodies and stuff like this myself in Serum. That's all just presets. There's so many good things, and I'm sure I probably could come up with a half decent like melodic type thing, but I focus on like the heavy stuff because that's where my strengths are. But as you can see, it's not overly complicated, it's sort of subby. So what I did with that is I stuck an arpeggiator on it. So 16th notes, it's going up on this groove here. Variation number 2 of it going down, so it starts on the 2nd octave and then kind of goes down. That could be a bit more groovy, but I turned it up to the 16th to kind of like keep the energy going. That's kind of like start of the cyberpunky type theme. And that's the velocity there. So that's kind of like what I use for the basses, so most of the synths will have that same arpeggiator on. Nice simple compressor, just to level things out a little bit. EQ to get rid of any low end. And as you can hear, this is the start of it coming in, so I stuck on an auto filter. You can see it. Like, it's barely audible here just because it fades in. I've got a ton of variations and stuff like that. take it out of automation mode. So a lot of the time that's all the MIDI you'll be seeing, because it's just the same thing going on. We got a load of atmosphere stuff here going on, so all this stuff together. So that drone there is, I think, probably just something that I rendered out, just dragged a load of stuff together, because a lot of these crazy spacey synths, like its contact instances and stuff like stray light, can take a bit of a toll on the CPU. So this is just stray light, like one of the patches, me farting around with either the wave that's being played or the sample over here, and the, you know, this XY pad in the middle, which is the big thing in stray light. You can take one of the instant patches, drag that somewhere, and it completely changes the sound just by altering these parameters. So that's the jitter and the DTN, whatever that is. I should probably learn this synth a bit more, but it sounds good. And this one again is probably stray light, just raising up in pitch, going up and down. And here a couple more of those melodies being played there. So we've got, like, that just sounds so cyberpunky and vibey to me. I absolutely love this. And again, I think that might have even been, oh yeah, that was another one from ET. And again, same arpeggiator settings on it. Like, if I was playing around with that by itself, I would have just abandoned the project, but when you stack up so many things like this, it gives it like a real girth. Like, it sounds so good. And I'll show you guys what's going on with the drums as well. So yep, this is Damage. Really, really cool bit of kit. The whole thing is you can just literally press and hold any key and it will just play this loop over and over. So I'm not, you know, doing the individual I'm not drawing out all those individual hits with MIDI. This is literally just loops. So I can hit there. And they've got loads and loads and loads of loop libraries like that, so it's always pretty unique whenever I do go to it. And literally all I've done is just draw in the beats that I like. So just super simple loop going over and over. What else is playing at this point? This is probably just riser and kind of like impacts and drops and stuff. So all I've got going on here is, yeah, that's probably a just looking for the right loop or the right hit, because I've got thousands and thousands of these impacts and stuff. And intros and stuff like this just come naturally. Like, I'm not really thinking overly when I do this stuff. That's what really helps set a track off. So all of these, you can see whenever I want like any kind of like change or transition to happen in the music, I'm always doing like a reverse riser sound. So I manipulate these quite heavily as well. Like, this is all stuff from sample packs, but I've stretched it, made it shorter, fucked around with it, like done little modulations here and there. Just a whoosh and then a poop, or a, you know, some sort of riser and then impact or explosion or some sort of hit or thud afterwards. That's all I'm doing. I've screwed around with a couple of these to kind of make the time fit right. So this is probably a lot longer, probably something like that. So I just, you know, held down Option, dragged it down to the right size. So I was playing with that riff again, and kind of like, again, we got more stacks here, so all the melody going on here. So that one is just an unfiltered version of that one that we hear in the intro. We've got more stacks of, like, you know, trancey sounding stuff here. And then because it's building up into this next section here, which is where the guitar comes in, this is probably, so I've slapped isotope trash on here, so just real distorted drums. That's one of my other things for like build-ups, is kind of like doing a filtered drum pattern. So I took that old drum riff, because I think I replaced all, well, drum beat from the previous track that you heard me play, and just filtered that up, stuck some distortion on it, just so it sounds old and haggard and weird, suspenseful and all that. And this was probably... okay, just stacking it again with a compressor on it, just to give it, just, yeah, a nasty sound. So this one, like I said, is literally just a single note reversed. So you hear that kind of like swell that you can't really do on guitar unless you reverse your sound. And then lots of kind of like metally techniques in here. I've panned guitars hard left and right, so that riff that I played right at the start, I've recorded multiple takes of that, and it's a pretty standard metal technique called double tracking, which is literally playing the same riff, because if you just duplicate, you know, copy and paste what you've already played and then pan that hard left and right, you'll get weird phasing issues. It'll sound crap. So I've recorded every riff multiple times, and this one, just so it kind of like fucks around with you a little bit more, just hard left and hard right, kind of like split half and half here. But you can see when I go into this bit here. Now the guitar tracks aren't really stacked in any order. I've just been doing what I usually do, like multiple distortion things and stuff going on. But I'll play this next section and I'll break it down a bit more. Not yet. So drums, I usually start with Easy Drummer for most of my programming, especially when I'm playing with guitar. So all we've got here is just compressor on this. I programmed all this stuff in myself, because I think this is the part where I really got the wave of inspiration, rather than just the constant like the driving thing with the double time drums. I thought, fuck it, I'm gonna like half that, so as you can see my snare is only hitting every bar, so I've gone like quarter time, almost like half time. But again, especially at 120, it's just a little bit slower. It really kind of like slows the pace down, so I've got like I've spent years programming metal-y drums when I did all my metal stuff back in the day. So all I've got going up on the top is a stacked load of kicks. So I've laid up 3 kicks on this track, and my snare, I'll break down my snare in a sec. I'll show you what I did with that. And we've got more drones and stuff, because I really went like full Mick Gordon Doom sound effect on this one. Just ambient, spooky, wooky stuff. and when it gets to the halfway point, I think that's probably the same pitch, just either up an octave or played around with some parameters just to kind of get it sounding a bit more haggard. So yeah, that's just the Lost in Space patch, and same again here. I think, yeah, probably if that's got a formant filter on it, I just played around with the cut off or something. So if I get it to over here, so you can see how that kind of really alters like the peaks and stuff in it. Kind of like gives it all the resonant sounds. So yeah, we got drums patch, and then I just chopped up the guitar even more and kind of like did the so this stuff I just rendered out both channels. This is the bass up at the top as well. I'll just play that soloed. It's a sampled Dingwall bass. That sounds absolutely amazing. I'm going to be using it a ton in all the upcoming stuff. So we've got left channel and the right channel, and I'm not wearing it over my right ear, so yeah, I can just about hear it being played out. And yeah, for all of the little individual edits, that is literally just both of the guitar layers rendered out, distortion and stuff on top of it. Just found a patch that I liked in here and screwed around with either the, you know, the trash filter or the convolve setting, like adding different impulses and response onto it and stuff. Leaving the dynamics where they are because I don't need to compress it more than it already is. And just some explosions because this is the start of a section. So like I said, I've got tons of these things. Layer up all the explosions and impacts, and we got a whoosh at the end there. Cool. And now we get a little teaser of what's to come. So that is a combination of the guitar being faded out through a filter and this new bass sound that it's about to go into being filtered in. So that's just an auto filter with the cut-off applied there. Now this is where I get into the sound design. So I'll talk a little bit about the snares and the subs here. So got the repeating guitar riff going on underneath. So probably, oh no, we don't have the repeated guitar riff. So that's just me sampling guitars just so it's all layered. Reverse some stuff there, nothing overly complex. So I have got sub just hitting there. So this, like I said at the beginning, guitar was tuned to A, so this whole song is in A wherever it is possible. But as I've taught some of my students, like A is really dodgy to work in. Like you don't get a good sub response, so a lot of the time I've been hitting like a fifth away from it, so like a sort of power chord thing. So it's either hitting E or A in most of the synths. I've done a mixture of both of them, and I think it works. So MIDI wise, not a lot going on. Yeah, so I'm hitting just the E there. I'll show you the sounds that I stacked up to get that. So I've got one of my go-to patches which I've tweaked around. So this is so it's being kind of like brought up about halfway up and halfway again, so you really want that dropping up and down, keeping the energy going. Just a bunch of distortion, multi-band compression on it, and a notch filter without any of the post effects. So again, that's another notch filter. Channel EQ, tidy it up a little bit, and a compressor to keep the levels somewhat sensible and kind of like flatten out the sound a little bit. Next patch, I believe this is, so typical White Eye sound. I use this one a lot. This is just one of my go-to patches again. Just stacked up, I've got enough like usual ones that I go to, so I don't need to worry too much about that sound design. If I'm really feeling the track, I will sit there and sound design something special, but it's just one of my go-tos. Like I probably played around with the LFO, so it hits a little bit different. So again, just notch filters, distortion, like EQ helping around with the sound design. So that's a really handy like sound design tip. If you've kind of got a gnarly sound and you want it to have a bit more movement, like just stick on an EQ in the effects thing and automate some of these parameters. And you'll see being moved quite drastically, but it's not a crazy curve on the LFO, so that sort of moves things about. Just FYI, you can buy all of these patches on my Bandcamp. I've got a sample pack and like Serum preset pack all up on there, so I'm pretty sure you get tons of variations of this one and other go-to sounds that I use. So that's there. I think I went into, so typical kind of like modern talking bass. Again, this is probably just from a sample pack or something. This was, yeah, another one from ET. Just found a nice one that I liked, like that stacked up with a load of other stuff just sounded so good, I thought. So yeah, nothing special going on, and this was probably one of the ones in, yeah, so this is one of the sounds that I made in A rather than E, just to give it a bit more resonance. Yeah, not something I'd usually make myself, so it was definitely kind of like pushing me out of my comfort zone with this kind of like, you know, yoy sound that we haven't all heard since like 2014 dubstep. And again, slap my usual effects chain on, just a notch filter there, fart around with the parameters and compressor, and what did I use? And stuck some tonal delay on there as well. So without this, like it already sounds quite metallic because that's probably got like a reverb filter or something on it in Serum. Just a little bit more grit. You can hear it when I turn it up to 100%. Like, great for doing like robo step stuff. And last one, just some real dirt, like high-end stuff. Enough grunt around the 100 hertz mark. And again, that was just straight from a sample pack, but I've ruined it with my usual effects chain. Again, notch filter, blah blah blah. And I think just for the second part of that, I did a variation of this one. So instead of a yoy, I made it into a yai by doing probably just fucking around with either LFO or like the filter here, or maybe even playing it at a different octave. Oh yeah, the reverb filter, probably just turned that up so it kind of got a different response to it. So if I solo just this bit, yeah, it might have been, is it the same octave? Yeah. Screwed around with it to make it sound a little bit different. Can't remember exactly how off the top of my head. Let's get that back to where it was. Maybe I might have done, yeah, no. Can't remember what I did to that, but anyway, it sounded different. I think other than that, it's still the same stacks of that one, and the one below. just to build up a bit of intensity, because this again is just another build up. Like, I've abandoned the traditional like intro drop in at 0:55 and like doing a second drop. Like, I've totally thrown that out of the window. This song just evolves as it goes on. And this riser is just incredible. Just real dirty. I got this from a guy on YouTube called Jeff Plays Guitar. Absolutely amazing sample pack. Like, he just does you know, game songs in the style of Doom 2016, or you know, style of Mick Gordon. He's done tons of covers. Absolutely love his stuff. And he dropped a sample pack fairly recently, so highly recommend checking that out, because it is fantastic if you want to make stuff like this. Again, just the samples, and just a couple of other whooshes and stuff, again from his same sample pack. Just noise. I probably could sit there and figure it out, but when you've got that stuff on hand and your creative juices are flowing, it's just so much easier just to go drop some stuff like that into a project. So I've used all those for like the transitions throughout this track, and you know, more splats and weird other kind of glitchy sounds and stuff. But yeah, this is just building up to what's to come. For this. So that's that section, and I'm going to talk about the snare quickly as well. As you can see, so I've got my kicks hitting on those first 3 channels. This is the snare just for that bit, and I believe, let me see if I've still got it. Is this the one? Yeah. So I've used a plate being smashed as this snare here. Let me, oh shit, undo that. Don't want to do it to all of it. This was, so if I play this sample through, I'll show you what I did to break it up. Okay, take trash off it as well. Just found that sample on Freesound, thought I'm using that as a fucking snare. And all I have done is just broken it up into its key components. So dragged it out, so all of these are same little clips from that same thing. So if I break that down, I've got that as part 1. You can hear the kind of like plate jangle about as it's been dropped on the floor, so you can see all these peaks here. So what I've done is snipped that up there, and then like squashed that down, and just did that a couple of times. So I'll show you the different layers that I used. So all of those stacked together, believe it or not, is all just a plate being fucked up. So I've got a bit of trash on there just to give this one a bit of grit. Trash again, and some reverb on this one alone. Again, more dirt on this one with trash. Literally just went into the convolve setting and ran it through. Just one that I like the sound of. It's really minor differences, but when you're in the zone you can sort of tell the difference between all that shit. And again, just a tiny kind of like clip of it. I think I must have really like dragged the whole like audio file down to nothing basically, so it just sort of clips, and then layered that up with some of my usual go-to snares. I think a really quiet kick I've thrown in there as well, just to give it the resonance and the kind of like right hit. We've got standard snare with nothing on it, but it's pretty low down in the mix. And I've got maybe a snare from Sadhu's pack. Sounds like one of his, I think it's his. But yeah, all stacked up together, and again, super low in the mix. And there I've got a pretty beefy snare. Cool. And as the track progresses, I kind of like do slight variations of that. So if I play the snare here, that's just, I've removed Sadhu's one and replaced it with these bottom two, which is literally just, I think that's both of mine. I've pitch shifted it up, like found out what the tempo tuner was. So if I take that off, I could see it was hitting at a like a flat, like not quite in the middle, so just tuned it up a little tiny bit, so I was hitting a bit more A, and probably, what did I do with this one? Down 4 semitones, so this must have been hitting at that sounds like it's hitting A there, so just tuning it so it doesn't stick out and kind of like it doesn't sound like a different note's being hit when you smack the snare. But again, all stacked up, it's just a subtle variation. Cool, so I'll show you half of the basses here. You can see probably if they're all stacked together, so you can see a load of beef basses here. That is literally just me duplicating this original one, tweaking one or two knobs just so it doesn't sound like it's hitting the same thing all the same time. And same with this Harbs Chunk one, just a slight variation, and same with Nar 2 as well. So this is probably where I went first, of just came up with this pattern here. Just that with a, you know, standard dubstep half-time beat behind it. Just played around with that and thought, yeah, that's okay, but I wanted a bit more kind of like variation. So what I've done underneath, and I think I started doing this with the track Scourge, is kind of like having those real slimy, heavy, like borderline Reese type things, and having like a load of syncopated guns. So over the top of it, I've done a pattern. So if I put some drums behind that, you'll sort of see, just to give it a bit more groove, so it's not just, and it just, that layered up with some stuff underneath sounds a lot more appealing. Pretty hard to hear that going on a lot of the time. I'll break down those guns quick. So that was probably just a layer there of Nar. Just one of my old patches, or no, patch from one of the packs here, just a machine gun style one. Because I wanted to do something different on sound design. That's one of my guns, yeah, that's from Abaddon. Again, just little hits. It's all layered up together. All layered up. So works with that groove. Like, it took me a little while to do these gun bits underneath, and then it goes into a little fade out because I've done my pattern of 4 here. So that's what I've always kept in mind, like this bit is like 8 bars leading up here, two little 2-bar gap to give it a little bit of break. So 2, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, and then repeat it again, but on bar number 4 this time it's just a little relief from that, because as you can hear, like I've got a stack of 7 basses being hit there at once, and it's really full on, and if you don't do that you're just going to give your fucking listeners earache. So I've got a little just bass thing, so I think this is just a sample that I really like the sound of, and that's being hit at D sharp, so I probably pitched that down a little bit and rendered it out again, and just added some dirt behind it with my patches and kind of tried to copy the whoop, 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 whoop. And I went a little bit more simple with this. You can see the guns are like just hitting on the offbeat here, and I'll just go solo these. But I introduced a new element, so I've got some purple stuff going on over here. Found this absolutely amazing lead sound that I loved, and again went for the cyberpunky vibes. I think no, it's probably this one then. Yeah, it was that sound I heard, and I was like, I'm getting that in my track. And again, with the arpeggiator off, just doesn't sound that great, but with that kind of like impact on that, I think I use it later properly. I'll make it a bit louder, so I've got this as just a little introduction here. So that's just a fucked up version sounding like that. And if I go over here, like, yeah, I love the sound of that. And again, that's just taking the guitar riff, taking rid of the octave part and the move up to the 4th fret. So that's what I'll go into in the next section, but I'll unmute everything. I'll just play that bit just before. Just another little riser, and then we come back to that element again, just louder, so it might develop a new theme as we go along. So break down some of this stuff. So this is just the same riser that I used in the intro. Because that whole riser is like absolutely massive, like it goes on for ages, and I've used a different one in the intro, just kind of like cut it up at different points so it's not one big continuous rise. And again, just a fucked up sounding version of that arpeggio, or sorry, the arpeggiated riff. So that's one of the patches, and I've thrown on fat effects and just picked a prefet, just a preset. Some of them were a bit too much, but I thought that dirt chop one was just nice and choppy, sounded all fucked up, and stuck with it. And yep, just some risers. I think this is some more frame sounds here, all stacked up, and again screwed about with like chopped up time stretched and everything else. So lovely. The guys at Warframe really know their fucking sound design. and again over here. So yeah, I usually delve into at least 5 or 6 different sample packs and stuff that I've accrued over these years. So there's probably some like Gantra and Ruin drum and bass stuff in there. There's like Black Octopus, Leviathan packs. There's so many, just all fucked around with. Yeah, nothing too crazy because I drown out all the other bits going on. Just enough to give it like a subtle, like, oh yeah, something's changed. Sounds like a drum fill, so probably haven't explained that as well. Like, rather than doing individual cymbal hits, so you can see I've got my kick and my snare everywhere at the top, I have literally just kept the drum kit, the drum kit from hell thing from Easy Drummer, just being played. So just a full drum kit, just to give it a bit more of a kind of like metal vibe, rather than doing individual crashes and everything else like I tend to do whenever I'm writing stuff like this. Just love the way that it kind of all evolves like this. So that's probably just me moving stuff up an octave. Or again, generally fucking around with stuff. Let's see. So yeah. Yep, just moved it up an octave just to kind of give it another distinct sound because we moved into a new bar of 4. And then I just brought everything together all for the last section. So I've done the same arpeggiator on the sub. So the sub's hitting a different note, so it sounds a bit more full. But again, that's because I wanted to bring the guitar back in. So slightly brought down the sub compared to what it usually was. Got the guitar playing its standard riff without too much fuckery going on. No, I chopped this one up like tons. This is all just open strings, just kind of like hitting in time with the thing. Like I tried playing the main riff, it just wasn't sitting right, so I've just chopped the shit out of all the open strings. So like if I really zoom in, you'll be able to see all the hard cuts here. Like that doesn't happen when I'm playing guitar normally, those gaps. So that's probably copying more what the like the arpeggiated thing is doing. So that's what I kind of like mirrored with the guitar underneath, and really stacked up the layers on the synths here. So there's a ton going on there. There's a real sharp spike on the EQ in this. That's just to make it resonate in the right place, or otherwise it just got lost in the mix, because A, it's just so weird to make music in. especially when I'm used to working around, you know, anywhere from D to F really. So A was like real other end of the spectrum. Everything was EQ'd completely differently because all the sweet spots are different. So yeah, I thought, fuck it, it's not sounding right, put a massive fucking spike in there so it just honks like a fucking goose. And I went a bit more metal with the drums. So you can see all those kick things are literally just copied and pasted from the bass, the MIDI, everything else. All there and stacked up with the same old snare that I've been using as before. And just little breaks like this. So that's the same riser. Oh no, that's kind of like fucked up guitar sounding stuff. So we've got the riser down here. And again, all the weird swooshes and all of those little samples going on. So I'll just play that section through. Just to return to what I did at the intro really, very little variation, like grab the same pads and stuff, a little bit of variation on the drums like I bought in the cinematic stuff, so I've got like all the crazy big trash cans and all the other stuff being hit there. I used another take of the guitar there that wasn't hitting just the single notes like I did like the kind of like more barred stuff, because it's in drop A, so literally just hit 3 strings instead of the 1. And just ended the track with a big old boom. Same way that it started, like the same pads, and like just so it isn't just a complete fade out with a boom, like I did a tiny little faded in one of the pads, no, one of the melodies. And that's how I made Bloodbearer. Like I said, had a ton of fun with this one. Like you can see, just some of the leftover guitar takes are shooting probably just like a default. Yeah, that was me just being lazy with the drum kicks there, just set that off on a loop and just jammed away to something. I ended up with the riff that we have now, and yeah, that's how it was made. After this, like this probably took me, so I recorded the riff like 2-3 weeks ago and showed you that little product that I had at the start. Came back to this like on a Friday evening. I think I'd been off sick one day from work that week as well, and just didn't have the energy to do anything. I thought, right, I'm going to sit here and release a freebie, because I haven't done a freebie this year yet. And I stayed up till 4 AM that night, like the juices were just flowing. Like I didn't want to go to sleep because I was enjoying working on this so much. Got up the next day with barely enough sleep and just straight on the laptop all day. Like my wife was probably annoyed with me, but it's fine. She kept herself busy. And yeah, I just knocked this out in like 2 days. I dare say I could probably revert to like an earlier project version of this, but just to show you like what stages it was in at various points. But yeah, I had a ton of fun working on this one, and as I usually do, I just soloed all the kicks together, rendered out the track, well, took ozone off, made sure that nothing was hitting crazy high on the master channel. So just rendered all the kicks out, all the stems out, all from like setting a marker here to here, so there'd be like a good, minute of silence right over here. So I got stems out, so if anybody wants to remix this track, please let me know. It's just how I mix and master my music, because if I was to start, properly mastering things like this, like there's no side chaining, there's nothing else. I'll show you the mix down that I did on this briefly. So yeah, I did that for the snare, drums, all the pads and everything else. So I'll show you what that looks like, and literally just its compressors. Oh, wrong monitor. So yeah, kick, snare, other drums, so that's all the cinematic stuff as well as like the big drum kit. The sub, all the mids. We got the riser thing on its own little channel. All the atmospheres, the bass guitar, the normal guitar, all the arpeggios, melodies, arpeggios, all that stuff, all the effects, so all the whooshes, all the other little glitches and Foley stuff. I must have fucked that up a bit because some of them are coming through way too loud, so I just snipped it, dragged it onto its own channel. I threw Neuron on just to give it a, why do mastering myself when I can get AI to do it for me? So that's all the EQ, just a tiny bit of exciter just to give it a bit of colour, compressor just to go glue everything together nicely, just make sure there are no crazy peaks and troughs in your dynamics. So I've got kick and snare being sent over to a bus channel, and that acts as my side chain, so basically everything else in this project is being side chained to the kick and the snare. So that's the way that I start my track, well, finish my tracks. Just master that, like get a good kick and a snare going first. As long as they sound good, then you're fine. Get all the other drums going, and then get your sub in and slowly introduce all the elements, usually in the order that I've got them listed here, because it's electronic music, it's dubstep stuff, so the main focus is probably going to be not only on your kick and your snare, but like all the mids and stuff. So yeah, everything just side chained off that kick and snare signal. So yeah, like I said, totally different to what I did before. Like this is probably going to be what most of the new EP is going to look like guitar on every track. Crazy, just throwing out traditional structure out the window and just doing my own thing with this. I absolutely loved working on this one, and I'm sure that you'll be hearing a lot more stuff like this from me. So yeah, hopefully you found that useful. So it's currently 9 o'clock on Thursday. In theory, this should be being released on Spotify, YouTube Music, SoundCloud, in about 3 hours from now. It's midnight in UK time, so I think I clicked the button to do midnight UK time regardless of where everybody else is, rather than midnight at the local person's time, so it comes out on like Friday at midnight. But I guess we'll see. So yeah, by the time I wake up tomorrow, this will be out everywhere. I hope everybody loves it. Like I said, I really enjoyed working on this one, and just as a little teaser, I did all of the art for this myself. Well, again, this is an AI jobby. I think literally just typed in the prompt of BLOODBEARER or something evil sounding like that until I came up with the right one. This is just Googling some stuff away, and I thought I wanted blood to be in there. Like, this guy came up red, and I thought, okay, there's blood themed and stuff. So yeah, typed some stuff into an AI website and just got some cool art, and I thought, right, yeah, BLOODBEARER. Googled it to make sure that I spelt it right. I think this comes up as like there's a dark elf BLOODBEARER or something like that in World of Warcraft. I'm like, okay, that's nerdy enough, that'll do for me. It's a real word. I've spelt it right, and I haven't done like bear as in big grizzly bear, or, you know, right to bear arms. I've got the right one of those, whichever one it is. In terms of spelling, did a couple of variations of the master. Like, I think I went with master 1 because it sounds a lot nicer. I think I went a bit too overblown on master 2. Like, it sounds really full. But it's tough. Oh, you guys didn't fucking... Oh, you did. I was right. I was looking on OBS then, and nothing really came out. Oh, well, you haven't been hearing any of that stuff. Never mind, I'll add that in post if this is going up on YouTube. But that was BLOODBEARER. I hope you guys love it. Like I said, coming out in 3 hours from now, wherever you are, or by the time this goes up on YouTube, it'll be out then. So yeah, right in time, just for the end. What's up, Leviathan? Ask away, my man. Switch back to the other view. So yeah, ask your question away. What's up, man? Keeping me here hanging. Okay, let it play through in full. Deezer. I don't think so. I've just done free platforms on this. It's going to be a free download on SoundCloud. But I just decided to do all the streaming platforms as well. But I've never really heard or seen anybody use Deezer. Let me look quickly. On DistroKid, because if it's just a simple tick box and it's a streaming platform, then I'm happy to add it up there. But like I said, I haven't really had much of a return because I can see all the stats and where it gets played, and Deezer has never been up there, and it's usually been pretty much empty. But if it's a request, that would help you and other people find and listen to my music. It's all good, but I just didn't want to put it on any paid platforms, seeing as I'm doing it as a free download. So yeah, I just kept it with the major streaming platforms as Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Music, maybe Amazon's streaming one or whatever it is. But I think those are the main three I focused on. And like I said, it's up for free download on SoundCloud. And I'm going to do like a follow gate to hopefully get me up to 6,000 followers because I'm only 100 away. And yeah. It was it was definitely a different format this time. I'd probably go back to my usual just farting around and working on music next time. But yeah, cheers for tuning in, everybody that came around. I will shut off the stream here because I'm done. I'm hungry. Want to go have my dinner. But yeah, cheers for tuning in, guys. I'll maybe make this like a monthly thing. So if you got any requests, leave them in the video, comments, wherever. Of like if you want me to break down a particular track, like nothing older than 2016 because I've probably lost all those project files. But I should have a backup of anything newer. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you found it useful, and I hope all of you listen to BLOODBEARER tomorrow because I've worked my ass off on it. Well, 3 days worth, which is pretty quick for a track normally. But yeah, like I said, love working on this one, and I hope that you go away and download it, share it with all your friends. Because I want to get to that 6,000 followers, baby. But yeah, cheers, guys. I will catch you next week.